I don't know, man. I just kind of just got really sick of shaving and haven't shaved for like a good month. I'm starting to look very Grizzly Adamish. I guess on a good day. But anyway, so if you want to come check out my Jewy beard, and which is even more proof that I am a Zionist shill and I work for Israel. Let the stories begin, ladies and gentlemen. Right. I'm also a reptilian and 33rd degree Mason in my own right. No, okay, but it's just a joke. Okay, so all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about Albert Pike, morals and dogma. Yeah, I started off by doing a little bit of an intro the other day on the man himself, the man, the legend, Albert Pike. I guess it would, yeah, it'd probably behoove us to go ahead and go back and do go over that biography one more time, just so we can get it straight in our heads who we're talking about. Yeah, Albert Pike, born December 29th, 1809. Oldest of 6 children, born to Benjamin and Sarah Andrews Pike. Pike was raised in a Christian home. Okay, I'm going to kind of breeze over this because I already went over this, but yeah, let's see here. Yeah, the guy was really fucking smart. Pike passed the entrance examination to Harvard College when he was 15 years old. But he could not attend because he had no funds. So he travels to the west, Santa Fe. Nothing much comes of that. He settles in Arkansas, where he works as the editor of a newspaper before being admitted to the bar. In Arkansas, he meets Mary Ann Hamilton, and they marry November 28th, 1834, and they have 11 children. Let's see, so when fast forward, Pike is 41 years old, and he applies for admission to Western Star Lodge number 2 in Little Rock. This is in 1850. Oh, that was in 1850. Okay, so he was active in the Grand Lodge of Arkansas. Pike takes the 10 degrees of the York Rite from 1850 to 1853. He receives the 29 degrees of the Scottish Rite in March of 1853. The Scottish Rite had been introduced in the United States in 1783. Okay. Charleston, first location of the first Supreme Council, which governed the Scottish Rite in the United States until a Northern Supreme Council was established in New York City in 1813. The boundary between the southern and northern jurisdictions is still recognized today within Masonry. All right, so Pike was he was really good at raising up in the ranks of the Masons. However, his personal life and professional life wasn't so hot. And here I'll explain what I mean by that. Let's see here. The boundary between the southern and northern jurisdictions, still recognized today, was firmly established in 1828. Mackey invites Pike to join the Supreme Council for the southern jurisdiction in 1858 in Charleston, and he becomes the Grand Commander of the Supreme Council the following year. Pike holds that office until his death, while supporting himself in various occupations, such as editor of the Memphis Daily Appeal from February 1867 to September 1868, as well as his law practice. So, yeah, I mean, it all sounds like everything's going pretty good, but he ends up becoming pretty broke towards the end of his life. Pike later opens a law office, and oh, okay, that's right, he gets busted by the Civil War. That's right. I mean, pretty much the Civil War breaks him. Pike later opens a law office in Washington, D.C., and argues a number of cases before the U.S. Supreme Court. However, Pike was impoverished by the Civil War and remained so much of his life, often borrowing money for basic living expenses from the Supreme Council before the Council voted him an annuity in 1879 of $1,200 a year for the remainder of his life. Pike died on April 2nd, 1892 in Washington, D.C. Okay, so Pike is best known for his major work, Morals and Dogma. And that is what we are going to be talking about today. Yeah, it's something that's interesting. I know, yeah, it's often said that, you know, when you become a 33rd degree Mason or whatever, they give you this book, Morals and Dogma, and all these great secrets are revealed. So far, you know, I don't know what I've read so far, but I only read the first chapter. So far, it sort of just reminds me of like a late 1800s occult literature. Almost, it reminds me a lot of Manly P. Hall's style of writing, which is not a big surprise when you consider they were both pretty high up Masons. But anyway, yeah, I think it's interesting to note, though. They say that okay, well, I'll just read this. But Morals and Dogma was traditionally given to the candidate upon his receipt of the 14th degree of the Scottish Rite. This practice was stopped in 1974. Morals and Dogma has not been given to candidates since 1974. A Bridge to Light by Rex R. Hutchins is provided to candidates today. Hutchins laments that Morals and Dogma is read by so few Masons. So, I don't know. Yeah, the rumor is that when you become 33rd degree, now they give it to you. I don't know. But I'm not a Mason, so I don't know. But wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm not a Mason. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No. I'm just having fun with you paranoid fuckers. That's all. I like. I love it when I get the hate messages, the messages filled with hate that accuse me of being a Zionist shill and a secret agent from Israel. I love those, man. So keep that kind of stuff coming, ladies and gentlemen. The most well-crafted letters, messages, will actually get read on the air. So, okay, fellow craft. Okay, in the ancient Orient, all religion was more or less a mystery, and there was no divorce from it of philosophy. The popular theology, taking the multitude of allegories and symbols for realities, degenerated into a worship of the celestial luminaries, of imaginary deities with human feelings, passions, appetites, and lusts, of idols, stones, animals, reptiles. The onion was sacred to the Egyptians because its different layers were a symbol of the concentric heavenly spheres. Of course, the popular religion could not satisfy the deeper longings and thoughts, the loftier aspirations of the spirit, or the logic of reason. The first, therefore, was taught to the initiated in the mysteries. There also it was taught by symbols. The vagueness of symbolism, capable of many interpretations, reached what the palpable and conventional creed could not. Its indefiniteness acknowledged the abstruseness of the subject. It treated that mysterious subject mystically. It endeavored to illustrate what it could not explain, to excite an appropriate feeling if it could not develop an adequate idea, and to remake the image, or to make the image a mere subordinate conveyance for the conception, which itself never became obvious or familiar. Thus, the knowledge now imparted by books and letters was of old conveyed by symbols, and the priests invented or perpetuated a display of rites and exhibitions which were not only more attractive to the eye than words, but often more suggestive and more pregnant with meaning to the mind. To the mind. Okay. Masonry, successor of the mysteries, still follows the ancient manner of teaching. Her ceremonies are like the ancient mystic shows, not the reading of an essay, but the opening of a problem, requiring research and constituting philosophy, the arch-expounder. Her symbols are the instruction she gives. The lectures are endeavors, often partial and one-sided. To interpret these symbols, he who would become an accomplished Mason must not be content merely to hear or even to understand the lectures. He must, aided by them, and they having, as it were, marked out the way for him, study, interpret, and develop these symbols for himself. Though Masonry is identical with the ancient mysteries, it is so only in this qualified sense, that it presents but an imperfect image of their brilliancy, the ruins only of their grandeur, and a system that has experienced progressive alterations, the fruits of social events, political circumstances, and the ambitious imbecility of its improvers. After leaving Egypt, the mysteries were modified by the habits of the different nations among whom they were introduced, and especially by the religious systems of the countries into which they were transplanted. To maintain the established government, laws, and religion was the obligation of the initiate everywhere, and everywhere they were the heritage of the priests, who were nowhere willing to make the common people co-proprietors with themselves of philosophical truth. Masonry is not the Colosseum in ruins. It is rather a Roman palace of the Middle Ages, disfigured by modern architectural improvements, yet built on a Cyclopsian foundation, laid by the Etruscans, and with many a stone of the superstructure taken from dwellings and temples of the age of Hadrian and Antoninus. Christianity taught the doctrine of fraternity, but repudiated that of political equality. By continually inculcating obedience to Caesar and to those lawfully in authority, Masonry was the first apostle of equality. In the monastery there is fraternity and equality, but no liberty. Masonry added that also, and claimed for man the threefold heritage: liberty, equality, and fraternity. It was but a development of the original purpose of the mysteries, which was to teach men to know and practice their duties to themselves and their fellows, the great practical end of all philosophy and all knowledge. Truths are the springs from which duties flow, and it is but a few hundred years since a new truth began to be distinctly seen, that man is supreme over institutions, and not they over him. Man has natural empire over all institutions. They are for him according to his development, not them for him, or they for him. This seems to us a very simple statement, one to which all men everywhere ought to assent, but once it was a great new truth, not revealed until governments had been in existence for at least 5,000 years. Once revealed, it imposed new duties on men. Man owed it to himself to be free. He owed it to his country to seek to give her freedom or maintain her in that possession. It made tyranny and usurpation the enemies of the human race. It created a general outlawry of despots and despotisms, temporal and spiritual. The sphere of duty was immensely enlarged. Patriotism had henceforth a new and wider meaning. Free government, free thought, free conscience, free speech. All these came to be inalienable rights, which those who had parted with them, or been robbed of them, or whose ancestors had lost them, had the right summarily to retake. Unfortunately, as truths always become perverted into falsehoods, and are falsehoods when misapplied, this truth became the gospel of anarchy soon after it was first preached. Masonry also comprehended this truth and recognized its own enlarged duties. Its symbols then came to have a wider meaning, but it also assumed the mask of stone masonry, and borrowed its working tools, and so was applied with new and apt symbols. It aided in